Good afternoon. I want to thank the organizers of the forum for inviting the United States Justice Department to participate. This international gathering of colleagues from the public and private sectors from countries around the world allows a critical dialogue to continue and flourish, a dialogue about how we can work together to improve our cybersecurity and more effectively combat the shared threat of cybercrime. I've been a federal prosecutor in the United States for about 16 years. In that time, I've seen continuous change within the cybercrime landscape, but also the emergence of some constant themes. In terms of continuous change, we see cybercriminals continuously evolving and changing their tactics. For example, 10 years ago, much of my focus was on banking Trojans. But today, and this should come as no surprise, ransomware is at the top of my list. But this change in tactics reveals a constant theme. Cybercriminals constantly innovate, largely to find a faster way to the payout, a faster way to harm their victims. Why would they bother to get your banking credentials and to try to steal your money from your bank when they can instead virtually steal your computer and all of your files? After all, banks can be hard targets. Cashing out takes time and personnel, and ransomware is, in many ways, more efficient. I've even seen a further evolution from ransomware that provides still greater efficiency for cybercriminals, rather than go to the trouble of intruding into a victim system, encrypting all of the files, and encrypting all of the backups. A new trend is just to steal copies of the files and demand money not to publish or sell them. This simple extortion, or digital smash and grab, is even faster, and for a cybercriminal who is after a quick buck and easy life, it can be all too easy. Part of my job is to monitor these changes, react to them, and maybe even get ahead of them if we can. More on that later. But it's also important to step back and look for the constants, the things that don't really change over time. Cybercriminals are constantly seeking ways to become faster and more efficient. They're early adopters of new technologies. They constantly revise their tactics. And there's another way they make themselves more efficient. It's a method you and I might use if we want something done faster or better than we might be able to do it ourselves. They rely on third-party services. Just like you and I might hire a professional to prepare our taxes or change the oil in our car, cybercriminals use several key services to make things easier and more efficient for them. Ransomware as a service for those who find it too hard to develop their own attack platform. Bulletproof hosting services, because abuse complaints can be hard to deal with, and changing servers is inconvenient. Counter antivirus services and encryptors, tumblers and mixers, the list goes on. When we look at these services, these key services that are constantly in use by cybercriminals, we can conceive of what many call the cybercrime ecosystem. And when we map out this ecosystem, a strategy emerges. Take out the key services. Maybe even take them over for a while so we can identify and disrupt their users. Now, let me show you this strategy in action. The Hive ransomware variant appeared around the middle of 2021 and targeted over 1,500 victims around the world, receiving over $100 million in ransom payments. This was, of course, during the pandemic, and Hive victims included hospitals that had to resort to analog methods to treat existing patients and were unable to accept new patients after the attack. Hive is an example of ransomware as a service, where its administrators made this easy-to-use interface that helped Hive affiliates to more quickly identify and attack victims. Hive was so easy to use that it grew to become one of the most profitable ransomware variants in existence. what could be done about this? What could be done about Hive? Identify its membership and try to arrest them? How long would that take? We saw Hive harming victims worldwide, and we decided not to wait. The Justice Department, my office, the Computer Crime and Intellectual Property section, working with the FBI, we decided that we too could update our approach and reach out to victims faster than we had previously. Only we wouldn't be harming them, we would be protecting them. Working with our partners in Germany, the Netherlands, Canada, and others worldwide, we infiltrated Hive. We infiltrated Hive for about 7 months, captured their decryption keys, and shared them with victims around the world, thwarting over $130 million in ransomware demands. For us, for law enforcement, this was our innovation. We were changing, updating our tactics. We hadn't done something quite like this before. It could have gone a lot differently. The FBI provided over 300 decryption keys to Hive victims who were under attack, and Hive never figured out what we were up to. It seems that each one of these victims kept it secret so that we could continue helping others as quickly as we could. I also give enormous credit to the case team and the FBI's technical operators who were able to remain on the Hive system for several months without being detected. Another constant in cybercrime is the victim, and our Hive operation shows that we will place victims at the center of our efforts to mitigate the cyber threat. In April of this year, we targeted another key service, this time a marketplace that offered stolen account access credentials from infected computers around the world. Like Hive, Genesis Market made life easier for cybercriminals. It was one of the most prolific initial access brokers in the cybercrime ecosystem and offered for sale exactly the access credentials that ransomware actors needed to break into victim systems, encrypt them, and hold them hostage. Genesis Market offered access to data stolen from over 1.5 million compromised computers worldwide, containing over 80 million account access credentials, and it was a key enabler of ransomware. With Genesis Market, as with Hive, we worked in a team, again partnering with the UK, Canada, and other international partners. This is another constant in the fight against cybercrime, the need to work together across borders with partners in both the public and private sectors. I'll give you one more example of our strategy in action from just 2 months ago. The Quackbot malware infected over 700,000 victim computers, facilitated ransomware attacks, and caused hundreds of millions of dollars in damage worldwide. Like Hive and Genesis Market, it made things easier for cybercriminals by serving as a delivery mechanism for ransomware, including variants like Conti, Rayville, Black Basta, and others. This is why we prioritized it for a takedown. In addition to seizing about $8.6 million in cryptocurrency from the Quackbot actors, we worked with partners in France, Germany, the Netherlands, and other countries and private companies to take down Quackbot's infrastructure and delete its malicious code from victim computers. I have seen reports that Quackbot actors are still out there, sending phishing emails, posing a threat. This illustrates another constant theme in cybercrime, and a hard problem in cybercrime: the existence of safe haven countries and the ability of cybercriminals to conduct attacks from them with near or total impunity. This has been the case for the past decade, and it is why the title of my talk is Disrupting Cybercrime as opposed to defeating or ending it altogether. Until these countries, like Russia, North Korea, and others, join our international partners in policing cybercrime within their own borders, we'll have to focus on disruption. on getting better at it, faster and more effective at helping victims, stopping cybercrime, and even preventing it when we can. When international partners do answer the call to stop cybercrime, we can obtain significant results together. And I'll give you a recent example that involves the United States working together with Canada and specifically Quebec. Before Hive ransomware emerged, we were investigating a ransomware variant called NetWalker that was also attacking critical infrastructure during the pandemic. NetWalker targeted dozens of victims around the world, including municipalities, hospitals, law enforcement, emergency services, and schools. Our investigation revealed that a NetWalker affiliate was located here in Quebec, and law enforcement on both sides of the border sprung into action. Thanks to great work both here and back home, Sébastien Vachon Desjardins was arrested and his residence searched. Over $20 million in cryptocurrency was seized. Later on, Vachon Desjardins was extradited to the United States, where a federal court in Florida sentenced him to 20 years in prison. This is what successful partnership against cybercrime looks like, and it happened right here. My office, the Computer Crime and Intellectual Property section of the Justice Department, also called CCIPS, can be found at cybercrime.gov. We are about 50 attorneys, and our work ranges from cybercrime and ransomware to cyberstalking, cryptocurrency, online piracy, and theft of trade secrets. We also have a cybersecurity unit that has published some great white papers on security research, vulnerability disclosure programs, and other timely subjects. I want to conclude by making a request. I said that one of the constants in fighting cybercrime is the need for teamwork. I'm asking now that you join with us if you can, whether it's providing information about new threats or unique insights into cybercriminal organizations. So many of our greatest successes are born out of close collaboration with the private sector and international partners. Even seemingly small insights can make a big difference and can lead to results like those I've just described. If you work with the victims of cybercrime, please know that we are ready to address their concerns and fears about working with law enforcement. We've worked with victims of all sizes in countries around the world, and our goal is always to protect them, respect their equities, and leave them stronger and safer than they were before. Although cybercrime is a dynamic field, there are constant themes that guide my approach and that of my team. Hitting cybercriminals where it will hurt them most by targeting key services. Constantly looking for ways to improve our methods and tactics, to become faster and more agile. Working in teams with international and private sector partners. And putting victims first. That's what we're doing at the Justice Department. And it's been my pleasure to tell you a little bit about our approach. Thanks to the organizers of InCyber for the invitation, and thanks to you for all that you do to improve our cybersecurity and disrupt cybercrime. Thank you.